What is happening, everybody? Yours truly is back with another book review. We have now moved on to the Venom series, which I'm really excited about because Venom is one of my favorite characters, one of my favorite villains, anti-heroes, whatever you want to call him. I am so looking forward to getting deeper into this series. Already finished Volume 1, Symbiosis, which has a plethora of Venom appearances in The Amazing Spider-Man. I will say that if you already have Amazing Spider-Man volumes 18 through 23, you're pretty much going to read the same stuff. If you have volumes 18 through 23, you don't really need to pick this up. By the way, this is the 200th epic that came out. Little fun fact there: the 200th epic collection book that was released was this book right here. And yeah, it's pretty much predominantly Amazing Spider-Man's. The big main issues collected are Amazing Spider-Man 258, which has not been collected in any form in the Epic series. It would be Volume 14, because Volume 15, Ghosts of the Past, Ghosts of the Past, because there's Ghosts of the Past, Ghost of the Past in Volume 19 of Hulk, but Volume 15 of Spider-Man is Ghosts of the Past, and that begins with issue 258. No, excuse me, 259 starts with Volume 15. Okay, whew. Okay, the end to Volume 14, which has not been released, would be 258 of Amazing Spider-Man, and that's collected in here. So we have not gotten that issue. That's a good one too. It's Peter has this nightmare where the symbiote costume and his red and blue costume are fighting for him. It's even the cover. It's such a good cover. And if you all ever watched the cartoon in the 90s, which I loved, they did an episode of that sequence. But yeah, great cover right there. This is 258. You get like an excerpt of the Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars number 8, which shows you in like 2 pages how Spidey acquired the costume. So very brief. And I gotta say, I really am glad that they included a lot of the excerpts. The experts really help in bridging the gaps and progressing the story along. How Peter acquired, or Spidey, whatever, Spidey, how he acquired the costume. But it doesn't do the whole issue. It's just the important stuff. The excerpts just move along the story, and then it leads right into 258, from Secret Wars 8 to 258. Then, because of that story, he realizes that the symbiote, what is it? So he knows, it's funny, he knows it's an alien, but he doesn't really know that it's trying to bond with him until Mr. Fantastic, Reed Richards, tells him, oh yeah, by the way, this thing was trying to graft onto you permanently. And Peter's like, what the fuck? Get this fucking bitch off me. I don't want this. And so Reed uses a sonic blaster to get it off because the symbiote doesn't like fire or sound. What's really good is after 258, then we get some more excerpts of like Amazing Spider-Man 260, 261, Fantastic Four 274, and these show the symbiote. Obviously, this is about the symbiote, and then becoming Venom, going from Spider-Man to Venom. So this first volume is basically the symbiote's arc until it grafted onto Eddie Brock. And it's good. It's like it says 1984 to 1992, but they include the backup story from 388 of Amazing Spider-Man, which came out in 1994. So I tend to say 84 to 94, like a 10-year amount, a bridge, or not bridge, 10-year, 10 years worth of stories. Okay, so let's leave it at that. But so basically, the excerpts I mentioned just show how the costume escaped from the Baxter Building, ends up right back in Peter's closet, which leads us into Web of Spider-Man number 1, which is also included in Volume 15, Ghosts of the Past in Amazing Spider-Man. But again, I tell you guys, don't look at it as double or triple dipping. Think of it as an opportunity to read these stories again. I probably will never read these books ever again, sad as it is to admit, Maybe I will. Maybe I'll just like glance at the pages and whatever, but to actually sit down and read these issues again, nah, not unless I'm reading a new book, you know. So I just look at it as an opportunity to read these stories again, especially months, even years since I last read them. You know, it's a perfect opportunity to do that. So Web of Spider-Man #1 is included. Spidey takes on the Volturians, who are these 4 guys who base their costume off of the Vulture. They even like steal money from an old lady. I didn't like that, but because it was like, she's like, oh please, that's the only money I have, and they're like, tough granny. They didn't say that, but they said something to that effect, and it just pissed me. I hate bullies. But that goes into how Peter reacquired the costume, not of his own making or his free will. The costume tricked Peter into thinking he was putting on his red and blue costume, and then he's like, oh shit, I can't get this off me. But he fights the Volturians while trying to deal with the symbiote costume, gets it to the church, knocks it off him with the bell, and then and that was cool because the costume saved Peter's life, and then it died. And then again, we get some more excerpts from Web of Spider-Man 18, Web of Spider-Man 24. And these 2 issues are pretty significant because here's where David Michelinie plants the seeds of Venom. We don't know who's attacking. For whatever reason, in issue 18 of Web of Spider-Man, it's only a little excerpt. Someone shoves Peter onto the subway tracks, but he jumps out of the way. In issue 24 of Web of Spider-Man, someone grabs Peter's ankle and throws him off the building, but of course Peter survives. And then it turns out that it's Eddie Brock, who we of course find out about in Amazing, again, a couple more excerpts, 298 and 299 of Amazing Spider-Man, then leads right into issue 300 of Amazing Spider-Man. Full-blown Venom battle, the first battle between Spider-Man and Venom, and now we realize, oh shit, the symbiote is back, the alien symbiote is back, and now it's latched onto Eddie Brock, who's been disgraced. He was with the Daily Globe, lied about the Sin Eater story, career ruined, life ruined, and now he wants to take it out on Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Just kill them both because the symbiote knows that they're one and the same person, and Brock is a Looney Tune. So now we just set up these frequent encounters between Spider-Man and Venom. And we go, 300 is the next big issue, the next main issue to read, with 258, 300. Then we get 315 to 317, another battle with Venom there. You know, that's one where where Venom lures Spider-Man to Montauk. The whole sand, you know, the tendrils of Venom pulling Spider-Man to the sand and bringing him across, and then, you know, and then somehow Peter survives that. Then we get some more excerpts of 230, 231 of him getting out of the vault. Oh yeah, he goes to the vault. We also get the Avengers Death Trap The Vault graphic novel, which was from Marvel Graphic Novels number 68. That's also featured in Avengers, I'm going to say volume 21, in their own epic. So this is actually the second time I got to read, and I read the story maybe 2 years ago when I started buying all these epics. So it was great to just read it. It's 68 pages, I think, 68 pages, but it goes really fast. And it's really cool. The Avengers team up with Freedom Force, formerly the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, to take on Venom and just a whole slew of villains who are trying to bust out of the Vault, which is a prison for supervillains in Colorado, in the Colorado Rockies. And then there's like a bomb that's going to go off, so it's like high tension, like a really good action thriller with superheroes. And this is what they need to make the movies based off of, but Kevin Feige will never do that. He's a piece of shit. Yeah, I said that. I probably will never work with him ever, so I don't give a fuck. Fuck you, Kevin Feige. You ruined MCU and Marvel in a movie capacity. In a movie capacity. Let me finish that sentence and move on. But yes, I loved Death Trap, The Vault. So of course Venom eventually breaks out of that. There's also an excerpt from Quasar number 6, which they really didn't need, but he briefly battles. I was gonna say fights and battles, but I said bites. He briefly battles and fights Quasar, but Quasar drags him back into the vaults. Then he breaks out again, and then with 332, 333, another major two issues to read. He comes back to New York, hitchhikes back to the East Coast, fights him in Central Park in the Sheep Meadow. Sticks and Stone, who were hired by Jonathan Caesar to get rid of Spider-Man. Jonathan Caesar is obsessed with Mary Jane. And I gotta say, throughout all these issues, we are treated to pencils and artwork by Todd McFarlane. Back when he was hot, his pencils were hot. Eric Larson before he did Savage Dragon. And David Michelinie's writing all of this out. So yeah, we're treated to McFarlane and Larson's pencils. Loved it. That's like 1990, and then finally he loses. Styx touches the symbiote and kills. I know I'm using a lot of air quotes, but of course the symbiote is not dead. It's just in hibernation, but it comes back. Then we get excerpts from 343 and 344 and 345 of Spider-Man, showing how Brock no longer has the costume. He's now just Eddie Brock, and they moved him to Rikers Island. And guess who's his bunkmate, his cellmate? Cletus fucking Cassidy, the future Carnage. So we get treated with a couple scenes there. Then we go into the final Amazing Spider-Man big issues, 346 and 347, which finally has Spider-Man and Venom squaring off. You know, Spider-Man gets an idea to cryogenically freeze Venom. So he tries to lure Venom to Yonkers, but Venom gets a drop on him, tricks him, and rather than kill him, Venom brings Spider-Man to an isolated island somewhere in the Caribbean and wants to kill him there for whatever reason. I guess he wanted to remind him of the Montauk fight, because it was sand on the beach. You know, there was some big not a motif, but it's just some big thing with Venom and the sand, and I don't know. But he brings him to an isolated, remote island, and Spider-Man fakes his death, and Venom thinks he's dead. Sorry, guys, if I'm spoiling for you, but it's so much fun. Trust me, just read the stories. You'll still be impressed and blown away by the story. It's amazing. And so finally, that's the end of Spider-Man and Venom, because now Venom thinks he's successfully killed Spider-Man. Revenge has happened. Revenge is sweet. Spider-Man goes on with his life. Then we get Dark Hawk 13 and 14, which it's in the middle of a storyline, Heart of the Hawk. It's parts 4 and 5. And actually it was kind of interesting. I actually wanted to know the rest of the storyline. So hopefully if they ever make a Dark Hawk epic, that would be pretty cool. I don't know. They probably won't. I don't know. They haven't even come out with a New Warriors epic. I think he was part of New Warriors, wasn't he? Dark Hawk. There's that. And then of course we get some material from Amazing Spider-Man Amazing Spider-Man Annual 25 and Web of Spider-Man Annual 7. Which what was that? That was a backup story. Oh, that was just untold stories of how the symbiote latched onto No, that wasn't it. No, it was just the origin of Venom, and it was how Brock was about to commit suicide in the church, but the symbiote costume latched onto him. It wasn't nothing too big. They just want to jam every single bit of Venom and the symbiote in this epic. It was inconsequential. And then we also have the Amazing Spider-Man 26 Annual, Spectacular Spider-Man Annual number 12, and Web of Spider-Man Annual number 8, which is a 3-part first kill. I'm using air quotes because that's the title of the storyline. The first kill, 3-part storyline. And Venom, he wants to get revenge on Spider-Man for fucking up his life, but he has a moment of goodness in him where he wants to help the innocent. His neighbor Ernesto Mendez has this invention, and his nephew Pablo is living with them, and these thugs from this guy Bruno Markham, want the invention and the blueprints, all this stuff, and the poor old man dies, but the nephew Pablo is in on it with these guys, Markham and his goons. So then Venom has to be a good guy and, stop the goons. And he allows Pablo to rehabilitate himself, even though he fucking betrayed his uncle, which led to his uncle's death. Whatever. And then we have Amazing Spider-Man 388. Again, another backup story, which takes place. It actually explains the in-between stories from Web of Spider-Man 18 and 24, when he first attacked Spider-Man as some shadowy figure, pushing him on the subway, grabbing him by the ankle, throwing him off the building. That was in 388. And again, it's another nice, sad story because he gets help from an ex-Navy SEAL who's now a homeless bum, a derelict. It's sad because Brock gives him money to thank him for helping him out, for instilling in him a sense of ethics and honor, because that's what Venom thinks. Brock feels like his revenge, his quest for revenge against Spider-Man is justified. And in a way it kind of is. But I feel like, let me just say, so unfortunately, the guy uses the money that Brock gave him for drugs and dies. And that's the end of that. I just want to say that it pains me that Brock doesn't see his problem, that he was the one at fault here. Not Spider-Man, not Peter Parker. He created and perpetrated a hoax to better himself and got caught. Okay? Whether, it wasn't like Peter really said, hey, Brock is a liar, fuck this guy. No, he just exposed the truth that the Sin Eater was not this guy that what was his name? Phil Gregg or something? I forget, but, Eddie Brock made up a story saying that this guy was the Sin Eater. For those of you who forgot, there was a serial killer called Sin Eater who turned out to be a cop, Stan Carter, and Brock lied about it. And Spider-Man exposed him like, hey, this is the real killer. And the guy that Brock chose was some habitual and chronic liar who just confesses to murders, And so Brock's career went into the toilet and he wanted to kill himself and blah, 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 blah. Anyway. So in real life, though, own up to your mistakes, and, be held accountable. Hold yourself accountable when you fuck up. And that's what Brock doesn't do. Brock just projects this thing. But of course, if he does that, then we're not going to have any conflict. There's not going to be any Venom. There's not going to be any reason to go after Spider-Man. So, but logically speaking, guys, don't hold anybody. Trust me, and I'm guilty of that. I've been in Brock's shoes where I've blamed people for, like, if I lost a job or, that's happened to me. I'm not a perfect guy. I've gone through a lot of stuff in my life where I lost opportunities and I blamed others when really it was my fault. It's all part of growing up. And that's what Mr. Edward Charles Allen Brock needs to do. So, that was a good review, guys. God, you guys got to hit that like. Don't even dislike. You guys got to admit that was a very fucking good review. I'm in a very good mood, by the way. So, the next book, guys, is going to be Volume 2, Lethal Protector, which I'm really excited for because now we're going into the era of, I guess, the anti-hero. Venom just proves very popular among comic book readers back in the 90s. This is 92 to 93. And he graduates to his own series. No more just a villain of Spider-Man. He's now his own man dealing with his own crooks and criminals and baddies that he has to deal with. I don't think he's not dealing with Carnage yet, is he? Oh, actually, kind of. Yeah, actually, a lot of stuff. 361, 363, all that stuff. Anyway, not Maximum Carnage yet, but yeah, there's some, in 373 to 375, lots of the Trial of Venom, the Spider-Man special edition. There's a lot here. So I'm looking forward to it. This is where Venom actually rehabilitates himself and becomes the anti-hero rather than just a Spider-Man villain. So I'm excited about that. I hope you guys are too. And I should be back probably within 2 days, a day, 2 days, depending on how fast I read. And we'll get that out, guys. Leave your comments, your likes, or your dislikes if you guys didn't like it, but I think this is actually a pretty fucking good review. But let me know what you guys think. Also, check out the posts like that as well of my rundown of every issue. I read these epics so you don't have to, but guys, I do strongly recommend that you do, even though I may have spoiled it for you. Read them though, guys, and be amazed. You know, trust me, a schmuck like me is not going to ruin it for you guys. Trust me, you'll enjoy this batch of stories. Venom! I love it, guys. All right, well, actually, wait. This one, Volume 1, Symbiosis. Get it, guys. 1984 to 1994, 10 years of Venom. It says 92, but it's really 10 years. All right, guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.